welcome to another segment of Beyond the Gateway. Today here I have a couple of guests with me. We have Sari Juarez. We also have with us Mackenzie Cush as well as Jay Davis. We're very excited for the discussion we will have on today's topic, which is culture and gender. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Yeah, we're good.
I'm fine.
Awesome, awesome. So the topic for today, I'm sure you guys had an overview of it, gender and culture. We want to talk about, the many different ways you guys grew up in a household, how restricted was it depending on the gender you have, the many different rules you may have had as growing up. I'll start with Sari. Tell us, how did you grow up? How was it, did you have any siblings? Were there brothers, sisters? Talk to us about that.
Oh, well, I'm Latina. My parents are from Guatemala and El Salvador, so I grew up in a very Hispanic household. What I grew up is seeing my grandmother, because I live with my grandparents. I grew up seeing that my grandma always served my grandfather, whenever he sat down, the food was ready. And it was okay, it was normal as a little girl, but growing up seeing that, and I was like, that's not right. Right when he sits down, the food has to be prepared. He can't, I would have conversations with my grandmother's he can wait 5 minutes or a little bit. It doesn't have to be ready right when he sits down, right at 3 o'clock, right when he comes home from work. And yeah, and then even with my dad, whenever he comes to visit, he's just make me some eggs. I like them this way, like that, like that. And I'm do I think I'm not your maid? He was like, no, you're my servant when I'm here. So,
did you have siblings growing up, brothers or sisters?
I have an older brother. It's more oh, here's the food. Are you hungry? And then with me, there's the food. Go get it yourself, type of thing. So they're they very baby, the boys rather than the girls. Oh, you're independent. You gotta fend for yourself, type of thing.
So Jay would have a great time because he would be the boy of the family, having everything. Yeah. How about you, Mackenzie? Did you have siblings growing up? And
I have an older brother, and because I'm the youngest of the family, I feel like I was kind of doted on my whole life.
Okay.
So I don't know if this has to do with my African American household or the Caribbean side of my dad, other that. I think it just has to do with our family. We kind of made our own culture, so they kind of just always treated me like the baby. So it wasn't like that at all.
It does pay off. Anybody here, baby of the family?
I'm actually the baby.
Oh, we're all all the babies of the family.
Yeah.
Yes, I can definitely relate with that because sometimes you're the younger one, and I feel like the eldest ones get a little bit tougher. Being the mom or the dad in the absence of the parents. And how about you, Jay? What was the experience? Did you have sisters?
Yes, I actually have one sister. She's older than me by 2 years.
Okay.
There was a difference growing up. If I wanted to go outside, I was allowed to go outside by myself. There wasn't really a curfew or nothing. But if my sister had to go outside, she had to tell my mom where she was going, how long she was going to be there, who she was going to be with. It was more of a protective thing. I understand. It was more of a gender thing. All right, I'm a male, so I can protect myself at all times. And for her, she had to basically be aware of everything, of her surroundings. She had to make sure my mother knew, my father knew. I even had to know sometimes. So that's how it was growing up for me.
I see. So, there's this pattern or this idea that sometimes, I've heard people say, actually, I was raised in XYZ manner, but I'm actually glad it happened that way because, now I know how to cook, how to do these things, how to do that. And, as a wife, those are skills I want to have, or even for guys as well sometimes, I can help my wife do this, do that, depending on culture. Because, for some cultures, while it may be just girls, for other cultures, it may be both. Boys and girls are raised, learning how to clean the house and doing everything. So let me ask for anybody, how do you feel though, though there are advantages sometimes, you learn skills that, you want to perpetuate, but how does it sometimes play against you in a way? Have you ever been in a situation where you're like, man, this thing is not working, this double standard is not working for me?
I think maybe my brother they kind of were harping on him to get certain things done and to, apply to colleges, to do certain things like that. They were always on him to get stuff done, but because of I guess because I'm the youngest of the family and I'm also a girl, I just kind of like, and my dad spoils me to death, so I got away with doing nothing a lot of the time. So that kind of set me back in my development and made me less likely to take charge of certain situations. So I think that's one way it could have set me back.
I feel like it's the opposite for me because me being the baby of the family, I have examples. So like the elder siblings are mirrors. It's like this is like they messed up in certain things, so you're gonna do that, not like to prevent it.
And there's so much pressure.
Yeah,
to
so
that.
there's a lot more pressure since I'm the baby, and so it's like, oh, since like they went to college but they didn't finish, you're gonna be first generation. So there's like pressure on that as in academic wise. So
Okay, how do you feel like that pressure? I don't know if Jay wanted to share, and then we can talk about how that pressure may set you back. Actually, because Mackenzie was saying, not having that, a standard like, okay, we want you to be this and that because we didn't have that. But how can that standard as well, set you back? Sometimes people may think it's a push because it's like, wow, I have something to gain from my family. I'll be the first one graduating. But how can it also be, perhaps so much that it sets you back?
Well, my father was actually hard on me. Me being the youngest, I literally had examples from every angle, so it was like no excuse. So if something wasn't done, it was my fault. If I didn't do something on time, it was my fault. Yeah, so that was my fault. Basically, but I wouldn't say the pressure like set me back. If anything, I would say it made me stronger. It made me smarter. It helped me grow up faster. So I matured faster than most people around me. So I would say the pressure helped me. To be
Okay.
honest.
So we see different nuances of, where the pressure could have set you back or also pushed you up. So let me ask you guys this. If you had to adjust or, reinvent your home environments that you grew up in, how your brother was viewed or how your sister was viewed and how you were treated, how would you readjust that? Or have you found a different culture that you're like, man, that's exactly what I need. That's exactly what I'm looking for. I wish, I was part of X, Y, and Z culture because the way they raise their boys and girls, it's very fair and very, I appreciate that.
I feel like I wish I would have more brothers because, like, well, at least for me, especially, I am the girl, so the women and like we're like come from like our trade is construction, so it's a lot of like hard labor, and I feel like most of the time if there's like not enough men, the women have to step up. So we're like we have to like we do things, we know things how to do, we know how to like lift our weight when it should be like a man's job, because like even though we are strong, there's some limitations, that's things that we can't do. So I feel like even at work environments, there's like, oh, like I'll go into the mentality like this needs to be done, and I was like, oh wait, there's other men here that can do that, like at least let me try to be a girl for once and have someone else do it for me.
I see. This is a very interesting because, lately we have this thing, as you mentioned, you just said it, it's a men's job, it's a lady's job. I remember one time in class, somebody was like, a lady was trying to move a desk, and then one of my teachers was like, the professor, she was like, you're not going to help her move? And he was like, well, I myself am very feminist, so I'm going to allow her to exercise her strength and do it. So this is one of the things we want to touch base on when we come back from our break as well. How does it work? Do we want men to be feminists as well? Let us all do all the things that we say we can do. Is it about feminism? Is it about being polite and being a gentleman? Is there such thing as being a gentleman? Do we want men to be a gentleman? How does that conflict work? These are some of the topics we will touch base on right back when we come back from our break for Beyond the Gateway.
I am a girl, a comfort girl.
When it comes to your money, whatever you want to get smart about, you can find at smartaboutmoney.org. Smart About Money is a free online resource. We are a non-commercial, non-profit organization dedicated to helping people just like you get information about money. For everything from how to build an emergency fund to how to deal with job uncertainty, smartaboutmoney.org has the answers you've been looking for. Smartaboutmoney.org, the easy place to start when you want to get smart about your finances.
Welcome back to Beyond the Gateway, and as promised, we're here again with our guests to talk about, gender and culture. And before we went on break, we were talking about, is chivalry dead, or, do we want to kill it even per se? Meaning, we want men to be gentlemen. Is there such thing? How does that play out? So, this is going to be a dialogue. Let's just have perhaps Jay starting, tell us, have you ever been in a situation where you're trying to get the door for a lady and then she's like, oh no, I got it, or you're trying to, lift something heavy, or do they demand that from you when somebody, for example, on the bus? I've heard that, if a lady comes on the bus, men are expected to, at least where I'm from, men are expected to stand and let her sit. But how do you see that here playing out?
I had that situation happen to me plenty of times. But I don't feel any type of way about it. I just look at it like, all right, she's an independent woman. She's all for herself. She can do things herself. So I just respect it and do what I gotta do. Keep it moving sometimes. Or if it's something like, if she's lifting something heavy and she's more like, no, I got it, and I see she's struggling, I'll just do it.
Naturally,
just naturally do it.
We got two independent women here. What do you gotta say?
I don't think it's also just being like gentleman-like. I think it's also just like, as a person, whether you see someone, like, you can just hold, it's like basic manners. Like, I feel like as you get older, you see that people lack the basic respect and manners. So it's not even just like as in like a gender, like male or female. I feel like it's like if you see someone behind you, just hold the door. It's not that hard. So it can be gentleman-like. It's like a sweet gesture, but also it's just like us as people.
But I have actually seen like people, I don't know how, I see what you're saying, hold the door, you're just walking in. But I've seen people, I don't know if you have witnessed this, like how the man opens the door and like, go ahead and then I'll go after you. People are like, oh no, like you go. And then there's this thing, you go.
I feel like it's like, because it's such like an old gesture to do. It's like people don't know how to act like that anymore, because like everyone now is just like you do you type of way. And just like, so when someone does that out of their own kindness, it's like it kind of like throws them off. It's like, why are you being so nice, or like, why are you doing this?
How does that make you feel?
I feel as though I'm one of the types of people that always holds the door open for someone behind me. Like if I see someone close enough, I'll do it. I don't really think of it as a gender thing at first, but I see how it could be. I'm not thrown off. I'm not like intimidated, or I don't feel disrespected if someone like assumes that I need help. I'm just gonna try to be nice and friendly and take the help, because a lot of times, from my experience, men don't like it when you like turn down their help. So, and it might not even be a gender thing. It might just be if someone is offering you help that they don't have to offer you, you should just take the help and say thank you.
Yes.
So yeah, that's how I feel.
Okay. So in your perspective, you would say, it's balanced in a sense, or do you feel like they could do more or they could do less?
It depends on the situation.
Examples. Give me examples.
Sometimes, okay, I guess when it's too much, like if someone steps out of the way and then pulls the door open for you, so like they're expecting you to go through, it makes me feel like, oh, now they stopped to help me. Like that's a lot,
Okay.
And it might just come down to me not wanting that much attention on myself,
okay,
rather than not accepting the help or appreciating the help. So that's an example.
I guess like one time there was like I accidentally locked my keys in the car, and I was like, it was early in the morning, so there was still like the morning traffic had gone, so there weren't that many people. So I'm like looking like it's like, oh, I'm trying to figure out what to do, and then this random man, he just like helped. He's like, oh, you need help, and he helped me. So I feel like in that situation, I was like, oh, that's so kind. Like he saw me and helped me. Like he opened, like he got the hanger, stuck it in the window, tried to get like open the door. Like I feel like that was like a good thing to do, regardless if it were like a man or a woman.
Yeah, definitely. Nowadays I would think like holding the door for someone that's like more of like a social norm than being a gentleman. it's like certain things that are like gentleman-like, and some things that just like are just supposed to happen, or like that it would be nice if it did happen. Being a gentleman to me was like, say we walking on the street, and she has to walk on the inside and I have to walk on the outside, stuff like that. So I would feel like that's like a gentleman thing. Holding the door, I would think that's just like, it's just something that's supposed to happen, or it's a nice contact.
Okay, let's flip it around now. We were talking about men being gentlemen. Now let's talk about things that women have been associated with, being the wife or being the mother, all these things. How does it play out? Imagine, I don't know, do you cook, Jay? Do you like to cook?
I do not know how to cook at all.
You do not know, okay. Any of you ladies?
I know the basics.
I know
the
how to.
basics. Like
Okay.
I know how to live. Like if I'm by
How
myself.
to survive alone. I feel you. So sometimes, society puts such a pressure, which we were talking about earlier. Jay could bluntly say over here, like, oh, I don't know how to cook, and I do not intend, not that you don't intend on learning how to, and I do not intend on learning how to. And people are just regular, like, okay, it's understandable. He's a man. He doesn't have to know. But when it comes to women, sometimes like, oh no, you need to learn how to cook because you're going to be a wife someday, you're going to be a mother, and all those things. And I have seen a lot of, I've read articles and seen videos and shows of people where, they're trying to promote this thing of both the men and the women collaborating instead of, oh, these are the roles of a woman and these are the roles of the men. This collaboration. How do you feel about that? Is it something that you support? You want to see more of happening?
Yes, I feel like the world we live in right now is quickly evolving into one where there are single dads, there are single moms, you have two dads, you have two moms, whatever. So it's not so much of women have this role, men have this role. Now it's becoming something where everyone should learn the skills that are relevant to their lives and what they need to learn. And so when we try to look at it like that, it kind of makes everything else go away. It makes everything much easier to conceptualize. So I think we should kind of more focus on nurturing ourselves and the skills that we need for our lives than kind of trying to put people in roles and boxes and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yes, I agree. I feel like the woman should cook, all that's way past due. I feel like me personally, I don't know how to cook yet. That's only because I have a sister and my mom always used to cook for me. So, but growing up, I'm pretty sure I'll learn more individually, like for me being independent when I grow up and all that, and having my own place, and I gotta survive, so I would have to learn. But I don't feel like that. Like all women have to learn how to cook. They have to know how to cook. Like that's just a demand in a relationship. I don't look at it like that. So that's just me.
Yeah, like I agree. Because like growing up, it was like at first like, oh, you need to know how to make this stuff. You need to know how to make rice. So like this is how you make rice, or this is how you make certain things like dishes for like Hispanic culture. But like as I grew up, it was like turned into like this is what you need to know, rather than like out of my own interest, like, oh, I want to learn how to make these dishes because I love my culture and I love the food, like the food in it. So it just turned from like, oh, this is what you need to do because like this is like if you know how to cook or know how to make rice, it'll prevent a fight. It'll prevent like a fight with your husband or whoever, and like just like little stuff to like to learn from.
Okay, so the pattern I'm hearing here is, there's the sense of being independent, both for men and women, both good because, it was rare or not heard of, women being independent and, I got this and, being all, they have their own self and, governing their own self. And now for men as well, what I'm hearing, being independent, as you mentioned, now you live with your sister and your mom, so they do all those tasks. But in the future, you say you may leave by yourself, so you may need to learn that for your own personal use. So that's the pattern I'm getting here. Becoming independent individuals, and that's the society we live in nowadays. At the end of the day, people have different goals, and we all want to be sure that we ourselves can be enough and sustain for ourselves, because throughout history we have seen many things that happen because people may think I am not enough, I have to do X, Y, and Z in order to be enough. And at the end of the day, as you guys mentioned here today, it all comes down to do what you want to do. Learn to cook because I love the food in my country, my culture, and I want to learn it for my own leisure and just for my own advancement and many other things. So I want to ask you this one last question. regarding your experience here in the city of Takoma Park. It's a very progressive city, and we are very diverse. Not only in gender but cultures as well. So I want you guys to talk about this, the city of Takoma Park, and how that ties in with things that you have experienced here.
Well, I mean, being so close to Langley Park, just right down the street, like Piney Branch, I just think it's like just a fun area because it's a lot of Hispanic demographic. So I just think it's like, oh, there's just like different like foods, there's different dishes, and I just love it because it's just like it's so embodies so much of my culture. There's like sometimes like on Saturdays you hear like the really loud Spanish music, and I just think it's comforting and welcoming.
Okay. Excellent. Anybody else wants to share?
I think that it's a very interesting area. I think it's kind of combining a lot of different perspectives because of, like she said, she mentioned Langley Park, and there's Silver Spring, and then Takoma Park, and then DC. So it's like there's just a lot going on.
Yes.
So I feel like you can go down a block and have one cultural experience, and then you'll go down 10 more blocks and have another one. So I think that being around here and being at WAU in particular has opened me to just seeing things from a different perspective. There's a lot of diversity, and just in political beliefs and structures and stuff like that. So it's really helped me see outside of myself and have a perspective that is much more global and accommodating for something I wouldn't normally think about.
I agree, definitely. I come from Philadelphia, so the city is very different, and Takoma Park is a quiet little town. WAU just itself, it opened my eyes to a different perspective on different cultures and different types of people. Where I come from is mostly African Americans and a sprinkle of Hispanics. So that's basically what I grew up around. Here is people from a lot of different countries, a lot of different states. So it just opened my eyes, and I feel like I just had to get out of my comfort zone, and it's only gonna help me in the end.
Okay, excellent. And I appreciate you guys sharing on, the cultural diversity of Takoma Park. And as I mentioned before, Takoma Park is a very progressive and open-minded city. And, we have seen many different marches that have been made, Pride Month, Pride Week, all these things embracing not only the different nationalities, but also the different nuances, as we mentioned before, of the personal cultures that we may have in regards to gender and other aspects of our personal life. Our show has come to an end. We're very glad that you have tuned in with us today to learn more about culture, diversity, and gender. We also invite you to join us next time for another journey for Beyond the Gateway. Thank you so much to our guests for being here with us. Yes, this was a very enlightening moment, and I definitely appreciate the different insights you guys gave, and we hope to have you with us once again. And for you at home, thank you so much for joining in again, and we shall see you on the next season of Beyond the Gateway.